Welcome to Tastes Like Tea, a podcast in which I cannot figure out what to say at the beginning or end of. My name is Theo. Don't call me Ted. Today, I decided to, and by today I mean 30 seconds before pressing record, which is the most organized I've been on this podcast so far. I've been racking my brain today no, I'm not going to get into that part, but I've been racking my brain today about what to record this episode on. Because thinking about it, there's no reason why I'd be able to now spend an entire hour talking about Bad Lieutenant and Miss 45 again, or picking some of my more recent double features, because I've kind of already talked about them. And it would be rehashing the same thing. And although I don't mind saying some of the same stuff, because the whole thing is I like to talk about these things, it's at least too soon. I can't go one episode then the next episode. Because, even if I were, when I listen to this, I'm going to be like, oh, great, here's that time I brought up that thing that I brought up last episode, too. This isn't the point. I decided to do something slightly different because I ran out of things to do this week, and I'm specifically recording multiple episodes in a week to kind of get a backlog so that I'm not pressured on Mondays to record a Monday episode. It doesn't matter for you, because it doesn't matter. But because I ran out of things to do for the week of March 23rd through the 29th, and I'm still on the next week, I decided to, I was scrolling through my diary. I didn't really know what to do. And then I considered lists. I have a couple of lists. I was thinking, maybe I could talk about my list of films I fear, which I think is, it's an interesting conversation I can definitely have. But I don't think I'm prepared to talk about it. Maybe it's something I can do more when I finish it, maybe. But I decided that I'm going to talk about, and you've already read the title, so it doesn't matter, my top 20, my most recent top 20. This is going to be in no particular order. Should I be in no part? No, because I'm kind of... do I really have to do it like a Watch Mojo and start from 20? I probably won't. But maybe I'll start at the end and work my way up. But I'll probably just jump around. I have watched, just in the year of 2025, 750 films. That's not 750 different films. I think it was 693 rewatches, stuff like that. But I experienced a lot of hours of films. So I knew over that time that my taste was going to change. So I made kind of not a resolution, but a declaration, I suppose, where I will update my top 20 every 6 months. It's already shown an interesting change, which I think is the coolest part about it, and why I have been creating new lists and not just updating my old one, because I really want to see the progression of my tastes. My first top 20 list that I made back in August of 2024, maybe December 2024. I don't know, it's something on Reddit. I probably have it dated on here too, but I am not looking at that one. But it was late 2024, and I made it, and after I made it, I posted it on Reddit because I'm a self-absorbed person. That was just begging for interaction on the internet, and shot myself in the foot from doing so. But I posted the top 20, and although I don't care what other people have said, it came very clear to me that my top 20 at that point was built exclusively off of childhood memories. It was not because they were quote unquote childish movies, but because I built a top 20 off of the top 20 films that resonate with me the most in maybe what I was trying to use to define myself before I understood what my top 20 could be, and like what I decide to be in a top 20. So from there I made the list. If it had like a lot of Harry Potter, I think I picked one from like every series I liked. There may have even been a Marvel movie on it outside of... No. I definitely... Only Marvel movie, I believe, was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. And that one, I believe, has come off and been taken... Actually, it is currently not on the list. How crazy is that? But that's just kind of it. Is like, 3 years ago, I would have said Spider-Man is one of my top 10 favorite movies. And this year, it's not even in the top 20. And that's exactly why I update these top 20s every 6 months. And I'm closing in on that. I last posted mine at the beginning of the year, and it is the 4th month as of today. So I have 2 more months until I not have to, but until I update my top 20. And I already look at it and see differences. Some of them I don't want to admit. Others I definitely am okay with, because it changes with me, and I think it really shows. I don't know. I'm kind of saying the same thing over and over again now, but I guess let's start with the 20th film in my list of top 20. The other thing is, no matter what that number is, your top 10, your top 5, your top 4, because I made a top 20 because I didn't like the idea of a top 4. All right. The top 4 on Letterboxd for me is my 4 most recent 5-star films, because I like changing my profile. I don't like looking at the same thing. I had The Hills Have Eyes on there for like the first 4 or 5 months that I had Letterboxd. That was my one of my top 4 films. And I just got so tired of looking at it, because like there's no change happening. There's no progression. It's just kind of like it's a little insight into the person's taste on your profile, and that's more of the point than it is to be your true top 4. It's kind of 4 films that represent your film experience. But I found 4 too restrictive. But then I looked at top 20 and I said to myself, I thought to myself, even a top 20 feels restrictive. But I know if I were to do a top 50 or a top 100 or even a top 500, although that would take a long time to get to, it would probably take a while to cultivate, because to consider 500 different films is kind of crazy. There's people in the parking lot being very annoying right now. I'm sorry. But so like no matter what number that top is, it's gonna feel a little wrong, because you'll never be able to definitively have a set favorite. At least I don't think there's ever such thing as a set favorite. I'm gonna kind of contradict myself with this list, because this list is, if you look at my history, my top 4, ironically, 2 of my top 4 I don't think I've ever changed. And I wish this fucker would turn off his car. I don't know if you're a listener, but if you are, it's bad music. You should stop listening to it this loudly in public. Be me and use headphones. You know, I may not be better than everybody, but I'm definitely better than some people. That's fucked. But, top 20. So, like, yeah, it changes, and there's some things that don't change, and I think I'm a little hypocritical for saying that things will change, because technically my top 4 barely changes. But just the fact that I could look at this top 20 now, 4 months after making it, and already disagree with it. Also, Spider-Man is on this list. I just didn't see it. But let's get into it for now. My 20th item, and this is gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird working from 20, because 20 is a weird. So my 20th position is The Incredibles. I feel like it's a weird one to start with. I put it in last place for a reason. I definitely heavily consider the order that I put these in at 100%. There is no doubt about it that me putting Incredibles at 20 reflects exactly what I think about it, because I don't feel obligated, but I feel maybe it is obligation that I feel. I just don't feel right about Jesus Christ. Basically, I don't think I could ever, and this isn't an attack on the medium as much as just the way I like to experience films, but animation isn't like my go-to, and thus I don't necessarily have like a favorite animated movie. So that the animated film slot in my top 20 isn't always the 20th spot. Spirited Away was there once, and I think it was like 17 or 14. It was in the bottom half, admittedly. But I feel like almost any animated movie that I haven't seen first time in adulthood is always going to have a little bit of a nostalgic bias on it to begin with. And I'm not generally like interested in, like, I think, what is it, like Your Name or I Write Your Name or whatever. I'm told that's like one of the best animated films to ever exist, and I totally believe it, but I don't know if I really care enough to watch it. And that's not necessarily an animated film exclusive thought, I guess, because I think that about a lot of romance films and a lot of like certain book adaptations I don't care about. I don't know. I know what I like now. I know more about what I like than I did in the past. I don't know what I'm getting at with this. I'm trying to justify why animation has never made it genuinely into the top 20. Also, always more of like a condolence prize, it felt like. Because I look at something like The Incredibles, and I watch it, and I can quote it, and I can think about the scenery and the visuals and how it's made and how it's like, I could think about that stuff, and it's all really good. That's why I put it there. But it's also put there because it was probably the most recent animated film I watched at the time that I would have given 5 stars to. Because granted, not all animation gets 5 stars from me. I'm not going to, I don't know, fucking Fritz the Cat, I think I gave like a 3.5. But that's different. That's not the point, though. The point is, I mean, I don't watch that much animation to begin with to have that much of a definitive, except for like pulling different Pixar Disney movies. Um, I like the Spider-Verse movies, particularly the first one. I don't know why the second one is so much more popular, but I'm the same way about that with the new Dunes. I don't know why Dune Part 2 is so much better to people than Dune Part 1. Um, but, you know, maybe that's just, again, me looking for something different in the movie. I am a book fan of it after all, so, like, I'm kind of in it for the lore. And shit gets a little... I'm not talking about Dune. I even took the Dune off. I had Part 1 on my top 20 last year. It is not here anymore. Mostly because I haven't watched it again, and that's another thing, is I've taken things off the top 20 because I haven't watched them long enough, and I can see a movie that I liked recently that I can go, this would totally deserve a top 20 spot. But, you know, there'd be no room for it unless I get rid of a film I haven't seen in a decade and a half. It's actually a major talking point with my the description of my most recent top 20 is that I took Basketball Diaries off of the list, and it was hard to do, but I also haven't seen it since I think maybe when I first started dating my partner, which was nearly a decade ago. Well, I mean, it's over a decade now, but like since I last watched it, at least, it was definitely far into the relationship. But because I haven't watched it for so long, I can't even, I don't even know definitively if that is like, if I still think that way. And I probably do. I remember the film very well, but I just don't like, it's not justifiable in my eyes. So, I don't know how that came out of The Incredibles. I actually just paused because someone was walking by that I knew was going to say hi to me. But yeah, The Incredibles, first of all, I don't think I'm reviewing the films on this list right now. I think this is more about me discussing why they're on the list. My reasoning for putting them on. And they're on the top 20, so my other thing is I only put things on the top 20 that I would give a 5 stars to. Because I think those kind of correlate, you know, with how I see something worth rating at a perfect score versus something that would be my top 20. I don't really know. But yeah, it's obviously a good movie. It's childhood favorite. I love the video game. Love the special features. I know it all. I'm moving on though because it's kind of self-destructive to try and justify something I don't fully think is justifiably on the list. So I'm going to move on to something that absolutely deserves to be on the list, but is just hard to place. And that's Lords of Dogtown. It's a very important film for me. Probably one of the few on this list that I can trace all the way back to my childhood. I think I could only do that with two other films on this list have persisted throughout my entire life as some of my favorite movies. Three more because Spider-Man. Spoiler alert, Spider-Man is one of those movies I watched for a long time because it's been out basically my entire life. But Lords of Dogtown. So there's two films about these guys. There's probably more, but there's Dogtown and Z Boys, which is I'm pretty sure a documentary that is more or less full on just like footage and stories from the original people. Yeah, and it's a shame. I've never seen it. I've never seen Dogtown and Z Boys. People always say that that's their preferred Dogtown film. I never watched it, so I can't agree. But Lords of Dogtown has been in my life. It came out in 2005, which is wild to me, but like I feel like it would have been way longer ago, but it must have been since it came out, because I've been obsessed with skateboarding, and maybe not much so in my adult life, unfortunately. I never really learned how to do more than ride it and do an ollie stationary. I was really bad at doing tricks, but I was really passionate about the culture. I'm usually like that with things. I care more about the world of than doing it myself, I guess. But Lords of Dogtown was great. It's such a childhood experience. Look at this. I think I'm trying to review the film now, even though I just said I wasn't going to. But it's the story. It's a fictionalized, dramatized reenactment of the lives of the Lords of Dogtown, being, if you don't know skateboarding, Stacy Peralta, Jay Adams, and Tony Alva. Others too, but they're like the main three. They're the main three characters of the film. Everyone else kind of just exists to support them. On the team, at least. They're kind of... I don't think any of them even have like more than a couple of spoken lines at best. But it's just really influential for me, and it exposed me to a lot of things that as an adult I realized I shouldn't have probably have known about really as like young as I was. I mean, 2005 I'd be 9, depending on the time of year, 8 or 9, and I would be... I mean, this film, it's not like overly explicit. I don't even know if there's actually like any nudity at all, but it shows underage partying and rebellious acts against parents, and skater punk shit, California skater punk shit, because that's really a big difference, I think, between what I like, respecting the history of the culture versus the part of the culture that you appreciate more. California with all this stuff. It's just historically significant, and this film has been around me as long as skateboarding has. Probably not as long, because I was definitely playing Tony Hawk on my PlayStation for years before this came out. Definitely, there's no doubt about it. I was a Tony Hawk head. But yeah, it's the reason it's at 19. I shouldn't have declared that I wasn't going to review anything, because I clearly don't even believe that myself. I'm about to take off my sweater, and I can't tell what microphone this is being recorded from. I have an earbud in, but I tapped it and it doesn't seem to react to the sound, but it's barely reacting. So you might be being recorded on my phone microphone, and I don't even fucking know. But I put it at 19 basically because, I mean, there's a little bit of nostalgia which I definitely downplay. If I feel a little bit of nostalgia, I feel almost obligated to try and move against it when I'm trying to be objective about this stuff, because the whole thing is, I'm doing the thing anyway. It's hard to explain the way I justify things internally. But it's at the 19th spot mostly because I can't let go of it. Kind of like Basketball Diaries. If I watched Basketball Diaries within the last year, it'd probably be on this list by default. Just because. But it's not. And this is. And I think it's because I was watching it recently and I was able to confirm the feelings that it gives me and the experience that I get out of it. But 19, it's still on the list. It was definitely higher up in the past, but with how passionate I have been about some other things, it feels necessary to have pushed it lower. And then 17, one that has persisted but is on the verge, and I refuse that verge to come. But Life is Beautiful. It is probably the only international film on here, which is kind of depressing. Kind of. I don't fully believe in the idea that, you need to have a list of, things from different countries and shit like that. You don't need to. If you like things more from one place, that's fine, whatever. But Life is Beautiful. It's an Italian film. It's about World War II. Well, the Holocaust, actually. Told like a comedy, but seen as a horror story. It has a beautiful... I love the dialogue. I think the first half is outstanding, where they're not in the concentration camp, and it's just a lighthearted comedy between these two people I don't know the names of, but I have a double feature set up soon for them that I'm really excited to watch. It's probably going to be this week, so I might be able to talk about it next week. We'll see. But Life is Beautiful is, in fact, in the same situation that Basketball Diaries was back in December. And that is, I haven't watched it in so long that even if I have this much passion for it, no matter how much I care and love for it, I haven't seen it. And I have seen other films that I have high passion for that I can definitely say deserve a spot. Whereas this film has been sitting here, moving further down the list, edging towards 20, without me ever watching to confirm if it's even worth staying on this list. Which I could almost guarantee it is. Because even just thinking about the reveal at the end is... It's impactful. It's a good ending. But because of this, I'm riding on memories. And, most of the memories are positive. I remember the shock of seeing it. I was shown it by my Italian teacher in high school. It's... And I've shown it to my partner. They don't like international films, or else they probably still wouldn't like it because it's about the Holocaust, but I don't know. It's an important film, and I'm going to watch it soon. Not just to keep it on the list, but because I have a double feature set up that I am really excited to watch. 17 is Psycho Goreman, and this one was a really random addition, if you know me, because I just watched this a few months ago. This is a film that I watched. When did I watch this? Around my birthday, I think. Oh no, November. So I watched this a month before I made the list. It was fresh in my head, and when things are new, it's another reason I get hesitant. It's the same nostalgia thing of Is this just a bias that I am leaning too much on because I tend to do that sometimes? But I couldn't. It was so good. Psycho Gorman is amazing. It's like an episode of Power Rangers, but made by the guys who did Saw and The Blob. Like it's practical effects city, first of all. Some of the best modern practical effects. Was it 2020 this came out? Yeah. It's so good. And it hit me so hard when I watched it that, like, I mean, I bought it blind. I bought it because the Steelbook was like $11 on Amazon. And I'm like, oh, I have an extra $11 for this order. Might as well throw it in. And that's literally the only reason I watched it, is because I thought the Steelbook was cool and it was worth the low price. Which is something I've done a lot in the past. I've bought multiple Steelbooks blindly for movies that I don't know. I did it for Motel Hell. I think I said it when I was talking about it. Like, the only reason I've watched Motel Hell and own it physically is because I found a cheap Steelbook and I said, why not? But Psycho Gorman, it's super cartoon violence. So that's kind of where the line is drawn and why I compare it to Power Rangers, because it's very intense and like focused on the thing that would sound like a turnoff, but it's shown in a way that's, I mean, I would show this to a child. I think this is a kid-friendly film. It's a little intense and could definitely scare children, but this is a kid-friendly film. And I'm trying to see what the rating is. It's R in the United States. Jesus fucking Christ. Why? Not a single bit of human blood is shed. And then Michael Bay gets PG-13 on his Transformers movies for even more brutal violence. Granted, 15 years prior, 10 years prior. But it's just like a classic, like, kids adventure that you would see on, like, genuinely, Power Rangers is the best way to put it. Or I recently learned about Ultraman. And the same idea, just like that Japanese heightened, like, basically live action anime, but also okay with being cheesy. There's literally a Scooby-Doo music sequence. Like, it deserves the list. How low I put it is kind of just me being generous, saying, like, I'll sit on it for 6 months and I'll think about it. But it's staying on the list. Definitively, at least as of this moment, in April, 2 months before I make this next list, it is going to remain on that list. Jesus Christ, I'm 30 minutes in. I'm only 4 films in. 16. This is another one of those films where it's more of an appeasement or a settlement. So it's Chef. It's John Favreau, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Chef, with Sophia, I'm not going to do that now, I don't know names. Sid from Ice Age is in it. And I put this in because it's absolutely, undoubtedly, a favorite movie of mine. It doesn't not belong on this list. I'm not saying that me putting it on this list is some sort of mercy to the film. Like, I love this film. The only reason I think it doesn't fully deserve to be on the list is because I put it there borderline out of obligation. Because I looked at the list and went, this is all horror This is all horror. Looking at it now, it's technically not. I think, look at this. I got 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. If you count Spider-Man, maybe 7 out of the 20 films are not horror. And the rest are. So I just felt like I needed to throw something in to reflect the non-horror stuff that I like. And I picked Chef. It's a really comforting film. It was shown to me by my partner. It appreciates food in a way that not many films do. Even films about food don't appreciate food the way this film does. And it's really, I don't want to say inspiring, but it's really comforting. It's really nice to watch. It totally is worth having on the list. But I could also think of other things to put in its place. And it may not persist. But there are at least 2 films I will be taking off of this list by the next time I update it. So it may stay. Because it's really great. I'll watch it again. I watch it a lot. Not like a lot, but it's one of Lex's favorite films. So it's an easy thing to just put on, guarantee I'll like it, and guarantee they'll like it. 15 is Spider-Man. This was in the top 10. Excuse me. It was in the top 10 last year. And then it came off entirely, and then I put it back on because I watched it again and realized, yeah, it is that good. Because it is. I am not a Spider-Man 2 person. I like the trilogy, but Spider-Man 1, much like many franchise films, I usually only like the first entry. Very few exceptions, maybe Nightmare on Elm Street, which surprisingly doesn't make it on this list. But Nightmare 2 is my favorite Nightmare. Followed by 1, and then Freddy's Dead, believe it or not. So, get on my level. Spider-Man 1, though, it's on the list. A lot of it is for childhood nostalgia, but it is genuinely a fantastic film. And before I even knew who Sam Raimi was and how he was so into horror, maybe that's that's why I also don't necessarily want to consider this film not horror, because Sam Raimi makes it scary. In not like his drag me to hell kind of like, yeah, this shit is fucking happening, bro, kind of way, but in like the way the spider is shot and the way his transformation is like a nightmare, and the final fight with the Green Goblin and how there's no music, it's just punches and rubble crumbling. Like it's a really heavy film that if you take Spider-Man out of it, I mean, he even goes to murder a guy, and they take that out of the future ones. I mean, Andrew Garfield kind of has a bloodlust, but he gives up on it pretty quickly. Kind of. Or his is actually more like he never finds them. Anyway, I don't remember that. But this film is so horror coded that even if it isn't a horror film, I think it is very much a huge contributor to my horror fandom. Especially since I didn't actually officially watch a horror film all the way through until I was 13 years old. Which may be early for some people, but I found that to be late. My brother made fun of me for being too afraid of Signs and Scary Movie 3 and stuff like that. Just know that I went from being too afraid of Scary Movie 3 to my first horror film I ever watched all the way through being House of a Thousand Corpses. So just take that kind of ramp up and experience and, use it as an example. 14. This is one of my most significant additions. I actually hate how low this is on my list. This is The Velvet Vampire. Probably the most obscure film on this list. Which is a shame. It's a fantastic film. I don't know how anybody could find this middling in any way. It's a vampire film, right? It's a vampire film from 1971. It's super old. It's super low budget. It might even be Roger Corman era. It is, yeah. Roger Corman produced it. God, I'm good. But it's just like a horror. It's not even a horror film. It's only horror in concept because it's about a vampire seducing and eventually brainwashing, and I don't think ever fully killing a married couple. But this is a film from 1971 that borderline is about polygamy. Really, really loosely. Just the fact that there's three people who aren't mad at each other for being horny for each other. It's it's a thing. So, I mean, the film is just so beautiful. Other than the fact that it's cool, and the fact that my favorite thing about it is that this is a vampire film that takes place in the desert, and the vampire, to stay out of the sun, wears a floppy hat because it's she's not like, if any of her body touches a ray of light, she like disintegrates. She just gets really weak in sunlight, and shade is all she needs. So she just has a big floppy hat. And the best part about it is she drives a fucking dune buggy. So she lives in the middle of the desert with no one around, and she just drives a dune buggy around, and occasionally she'll rob a grave or something like that. There's like a very Red Dead Redemption kind of cemetery where it's just like barely a handful of graves and like wooden headstones and stuff like that. But it's just a beautiful film. It uses red really well, like fantastically. It's one of those films where it's not overwhelming you with red. It's actually pretty devoid of color. The color is really washed out, especially when you're in the desert. It's a lot of like sandy, soft yellowish brown, whatever that tan color, yellowish brown. Everything's dusty and hazy. It was made in 1971, so it's a little dated with the color grading as well, just in general. And then there's these colors of red, usually worn by the Velvet Vampire herself. And what she does is she just gets these people entranced in her and forces them to have erotic dreams about her, where it's just a bed with red on it. I don't think it's entirely red. I believe it's a lot more white. But it's to get these people to have sex with her in the dream, and it makes them like subconsciously obsessed with her. And it's also a film that doesn't tell you she's a vampire. The only reason you know she's a vampire, because the film is so abrupt. It starts with like a really obscure scene of this woman just picking up a couple in the bar and taking them out. And you're supposed to know she's a vampire, or at least I think, from the get-go, because the film is called The Velvet Vampire. And the description basically describes that people are invited to a secluded estate by a vampire. It doesn't want... It's just all dreamy. It's very... If I were to compare it to something, now that I'm 600 films later or whatever, I'd say it's a little Argento-y. The only reason I say it wouldn't be is because the use of color is so laser focused instead of all over the place. Because, Suspiria and stuff like that is all ambient colors and clashing pinks and greens or whatever. Reds and blues. I don't remember the color. I think it's red and green. This is just like very hyper specific reds in very specific spots, and it's supposed to draw your eye. It's beautiful. It's such a great film. I declared in my review that it was supposed to be something I bought next. It was supposed to be high priority that I find a physical copy of that before anything else. I have purchased like 50 different things since then, so just to show how much of a liar I am, even to myself. But The Velvet Vampire is very deserving of being on the list, and if I watch it again, it'll probably skyrocket to like the top 10 because it's so good. Next is what is this? 18, 16, 14. Fuck, I'm not doing math. 13. Jesus Christ, I wish I knew how to count. 13th place. Look at this, I am going in order. I said I wasn't going to, but I am. 13th place is School of Rock. And this is a fun one for me. This is a childhood necessity. This is one of the few that's persisted throughout my entire life. It's one of the films I share memories of my mother with, which isn't really specific to why I like the film. That's just kind of another reason I hold it close. She always found it hilarious that the eyebrow thing that Jack Black does when he's watching the kids play in band practice. She cracked up at it every time, and it's hard to do. Try and do it. He's just doing it just for a little gag, but it's hard to do. Yeah, it's a childhood favorite though. It's but more than that, it shows not exactly my origin of my taste in music, because I actually don't like Led Zeppelin or I like the Cream song, but I don't listen to Cream. I don't really listen to the Ramones that much, although I like a few of their songs. Like, the music that's in it draws a path to the taste I have. There's that word, taste. I wish I was paying more attention. I bet I said that a million times, and I can point it out and be like, look at that taste. Taste. It's the name of the show, if you were wondering. But not only that, the last scene. So a year, maybe 2 years ago, they finally put the official School of Rock soundtrack on Spotify and stuff. I think it was for like the 25th anniversary or something like that. It's not, maybe 20th anniversary, because that would be 2023. It's not 25 years since then yet, but even when I listen to just the song or watch the film, that last song, like not the credit rolling song, that's just like a rip off of AC/DC, but the one at the concert, at the Battle of the Bands, the School of Rock song, Teacher's Pet, I think it's called. It is really powerful for me, and I don't know. I think I told someone that it made me cry at some point, and they like laughed at the idea of it. But maybe I was just talking to myself, and I just didn't hear myself respond to it, or I called myself dumb for doing it. I don't know. But that song, that performance is really, really important. It's when you see Tamika, I think that's her name. I'll really feel like shit if it's not Tamika. Yeah, hell yeah, fucking nailed it. I'm so good at movies. Yeah, when Tamika sings her vocal solo, and I mean, just the second she starts singing, not even the second after that. The second she starts singing, I'm getting chills just thinking about it, because it's a thing that I definitely resonate with. Like, I have major stage fright. I still definitely haven't overcome that part, but I also grew up being super self-conscious about my weight. So like, I was the kid that swam with the shirt on kind of thing, and uh, like avoided certain situations just because I didn't feel like being the fat kid in the situation, even though I don't think I ever was that heavy. Anyway, when Tamika, because during the tryouts before they actually get the Battle of the Bands, she goes up to Mr. Schneebly and tells him that she doesn't want to be on stage anymore because she's going to be made fun of for being too fat. And Jack Black goes on this really awesome, if not maybe a little over exaggerated or maybe oddly told, but inspiring story about himself. Right? He talks about himself just about as much as I do me. But it's very genuine, even from Jack Black too, even if it's not as true as he makes it seem. When I don't know, fat in general, weight acceptance wasn't really a thing until like, I feel like 2010. And even then it didn't actually get normalized until way after high school, unless kids still were just openly calling people fat, but and thinking that's fun. I don't know. But she starts singing on the stage, and it's so impactful, and it's her, all of her self-conscious, self-destructive, negative thoughts about herself just melt away in the song, and it's so good. It's such a powerful moment, and it's just, then, like I said, that's the first second she opens her fucking mouth for the song, but then it cuts to her parents, and they like share a look and a smile, and it's so nice because they know just as well as she does how big of a step that is for her. And that's for every kid on that stage. Every time someone has a little moment, it really hits. And maybe it's because I like the song, maybe it's because I like the characters, maybe because I watched it a million times and I can analyze it like this. But like, to see Zach's parents, or at least his dad, realize that he's been such a cunt about hating on electric guitars because they're a waste of time or whatever, and meanwhile he's fucking riling up 50,000 people and being outgoing, and like, it's crazy. It's really, I'm getting emotional talking about it, and I think that shows exactly why School for Rock deserves to be on my top 20. Jesus Christ. Oh, I picked a bad fucking thing. Unless I go out and fucking record. We'll try it. We'll see what we got. I got really emotional there. I went on for a long time. Maybe the rest of these won't be that bad. Next is Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Did I say just Chainsaw Massacre? Next is Chainsaw Massacre. Next is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. You have to say the full thing, because every time you change one of the words or spacing, you're actually talking about a completely different movie. But the Texas Chainsaw Massacre made it onto my list for probably pretty obvious reasons. It's easily, it's not even, I wouldn't even call it like the best slasher ever. It's probably just one of the best horror movies ever. Borderline on some of the best movies ever made. Like, I would consider putting it next to Alien. You know, Alien and Texas Chainsaw Massacre are probably just as good as each other. Yeah, take that. I've just come to, not even specifically Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but Tobe Hooper in general has been a lot more prevalent in my life recently. Since I've been going through all these movies, I get into the stuff he has, like his films, like even the Funhouse that I watched recently. I didn't even like it that much, but it was so, I felt for it so much, with like this connection to like knowing Tobe Hooper's past and everything that I know about him and his films and stuff like that, that I was able to pull such a powerful experience even from the Funhouse. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not only his first film, and you know, borderline perfect in every way possible, although the production was a little fucked and people had panic attacks and, you know, heat strokes and all that fun stuff. But it's amazing and it deserves its place. I feel like it's a little weird in the 12th place, but you know, I threw it on there as kind of like I want to see how I feel with this on here, because I don't think I've ever actually declared Texas Chainsaw Massacre as one of my favorite movies ever. But between the tattoo I have, my appreciation for Tobe Hooper in general, and just how fucking good the movie is. Like, I just read the screenplay for it the other day, and it's immaculate, but he knew what he was making before he made it, and it's crazy. There's very few changes in that film from the original script, and that's awesome. 11th place is Mad Max Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road is one of the best movies ever made. This one more general. You know, I'd say Alien is also in the general, where Texas Chainsaw might be a little bit more on the horror side of the best movie ever made. But the Mad Max Fury Road is definitely one of the best movies ever made. If anything, if you want to narrow it down, best action movie, but I would generalize action movie to anything with crashing cars. So thrillers, horrors, and just buddy cop movies or whatever. All of that. This is the best. Not the best, but one of the best. It's such an amazing film. It was the first Mad Max film I ever watched, which is a shame, especially since I owned the original Mad Max on DVD for years prior to ever watching Fury Road. But it's just like, from not even talking about the immense amount of practical effects, which is admittedly slightly exaggerated. It's a film that doesn't stop until it ends, and everything is so just like adrenaline fueled. The music is outstanding. Everything is just meticulously put together, and I would say it's borderline perfect. I would love to rewatch it after saying that and try and find things to complain about. I do that all the time with Stephen King's It. I think I spent an entire rewatch finding things to complain about, and it's just like a long list of things. Moving on, 10th place is Kill Bill Volume 1. This was before I watched The Whole Bloody Affair, so I didn't find it fair to put it on here at the time. But as of now, I have no intention of having any Kill Bill on my top 20 after this. It totally is okay with being here because I love Kill Bill Volume 1. Love Kill Bill Volume 1. One of the most rewatchable things I've ever seen. Next to a film that's not even on this list, The Shawshank Redemption. One of my most watched movies ever because I watched it on loop for a week straight. But Kill Bill, I specifically chose Volume 1 because that's the one that I liked the most. I think if I had seen The Whole Bloody Affair at the time, I would have put that up there. But because I didn't have a review to go along with the thing that's there, I stuck with Volume 1. I also was convinced that I would never see The Whole Bloody Affair. And then a few months later, they come out with an entire theater run of it. I don't really have too much to say about Kill Bill other than it's one of the greatest movies ever. No, it's not. One of my... Jesus Christ. I said that about 3 movies straight, just because I'm trying to sum things up so I don't have to spend 20 minutes on every film and go on over 2 hours recording. Because if I go over an hour and a half, then I probably have to wait till tomorrow to finish recording. But no, it is not one of the greatest films ever made, but it's probably one of the most fun things I've ever watched. It's super bloody. It's really solidly written. But after watching The Whole Bloody Affair, I realized that there's room for better things on my top 20. And as much as I like Kill Bill and I wanted to show representation for, a film that I really appreciate, the more I watch films that inspired Kill Bill, the less I like Kill Bill. And that seems to be a pretty consistent thing with people. I've seen people who absolutely hate Kill Bill that say that almost every word that's written is a reference to something. And I don't know about that. But I can definitely say that after watching a couple of films that have definitely inspired Kill Bill, it definitely has taken a little bit of a hit on the appreciation scale. And I think there's just, like I could put another Abel Ferrara film there if I wanted to. There's a lot more things that I think I like more than Kill Bill, even though I can watch Kill Bill a lot. I used to watch it like once a week. Genuinely, for like a couple months, I watched it for like once a week. Moving on. Ninth place is Miss 45. This was the first time I put Miss 45 on this list. I was really excited to put it on the list. And I didn't put it super high because I had to let it sit for a bit. Because the things after this are basically undeniable heavy hitters for me. Like, after Miss 45, which is still a heavy hitter, basically heavy hitter starts now. But Miss 45 is the newcomer. Everything after this is stuff that's been watched over and over again and just like experienced by me in many ways across my life. So really, as a new entry, this is the best place it could have gotten. This is basically first place. other than the other 8 films. But Ms. 45, I've talked about it. I will definitely talk about it more in the future when I do like a specific Abel Ferrara episode, or maybe a Zoe Lund episode, because that would be cool. Just talk about Zoe Lund for 2 hours straight. That'd be fucking awesome. But yeah, it's a film I blindly watched at the beginning of last year, and it immediately started an obsession. Like, I loved the film, I loved Zoe Lund, and I loved Abel Ferrara right off of the rip. I was in it from maybe the second that hot iron hits that dude's head. Yeah, I don't know, but this film, as I've said in the previous episode, I've watched almost every format of it that's available, except for Blu-ray. I own it on... I love that sentence. I think I said it last episode, actually. I own Miss 45 on 3 different... Jesus Christ. 3 different formats, printed in 3 different countries. It's a very important film, and it deserves its place. It totally might shift. I think I see a shift coming soon, and obviously I have to think about it more. I have 2 months to sit on it, but there might be some movements going on in my top 10. After Miss 45, 8th place is The Cat in the Hat. Mike Myers' The Cat in the Hat. Bo Welch's The Cat in the Hat. This film is art. It's peak comedy. If you want to know how to make me laugh, you reference The Cat in the Hat. Because Chocolate Thunder, that shit's funny. That's pure comedy right there. Chocolate Thunder. Or Ben. I used to know a guy named Ben, and I would just call him Chocolate Thunder. He'd have no idea. Every time I said it to him, he'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, oh, because of Thing 2. Your Thing 2. His name is Ben. So he was, Anyway. The Cat in the Hat is very, very, very important to me. I still own the original DVD, which is the original DVD release. It's got the white case. It has the interactive menu where Conrad and Sally insult you for not picking their options. And there's the fish. Hold on, I'm going to pause and I'm going to try and cough this out because it sounds annoying to me. I can only imagine. Okay, so The Cat in the Hat is exactly how you communicate with me. And I watched the director's commentary for the first time recently, actually. And Bo Welch, dude, I think I think I joked about it a couple episodes. Jesus Christ, I'm referencing myself like this all the time now. I'm already starting this shit. There's a reason Bo Welch has one single director's credit. And it's not because he didn't want to make any more movies. It's because he was so meticulous with the one that he made. He basically made the perfect movie. Like, his vision is The Cat in the Hat. The way he talks about it in the commentary is so... It just proves it. But, that's me justifying the film being good, which I don't have to you, because you're wrong if you think it's not. And it's not ignorant to say so, because I know that it's wrong. It's kind of a fact, But The Cat in the Hat, it's hilarious. It's so funny. And he admitted to making it partially horrific. Like, he admits to some scary stuff that he added. But, everything from, like, the color red to the where Alec Baldwin's foot is on screen. Like, he cared so much. I don't know how I got back to talking about Bo Welsh again. The movie's just fantastic. It's basically the perfect film. For what it is, it's real life portraying storybook. Or, I mean, if you want to really twist it, because it's kind of truer this way, it's storybook imitating real life. It's kind of the cat's world projecting what he thinks humanity is onto a fake reel and then placing himself in it. It's really, if you haven't seen it, you're dumb. All right? You got to watch it. And then when you're done watching it, read the top review. No, sorry, the third top review. It might not even be third. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I have people blocked on Letterboxd because I was tired of seeing them in the top reviews. The guy E.M. Lees, he's got the Phantom of the Paradise mask as his profile picture. He wrote the best essay as his review. Basically just breaking down the director's commentary and doing a little bit more extra insight on it, but it's worded perfectly to the point where that's all I would really want to do when I talk about the film. And kind of what I've been trying to avoid up until this point is it's one of the greatest things I've ever read, and it's about one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And it encapsulates a technicality that just enhances my appreciation for the film, because obviously I have childhood nostalgia for it, and then I have adulthood appreciation for the comedy, but then to find out everything else about it is just more on top of that. It's great. Yeah, that's my 8th spot. My 7th spot is Clerks. Kevin Smith's Clerks. Here is another example of me not liking the sequels, even though they're generally liked more. At least Clerks 2. And maybe Mallrats counts as a sequel. I don't know. I've never seen it. I'm very pro Kevin Smith, but I'm very not into completing his filmography. Like, I just found out recently that he directed Red State, because I've known about that film. I'm pretty sure it's like a pretty fucked up film. But there's something about Kevin Smith that people don't like that I don't fully understand. I heard someone say on a podcast that he didn't like him because he figured out how to monetize being a low budget filmmaker or something like that. Like, his prominence and existence of being known for being that big low budget filmmaker kind of ruined his image or something. I don't know. I think he's cool. I don't really pay attention to him much nowadays. I don't watch his shows or anything. I watch Clerks. Clerks is like the only thing. Clerks is more important to me than Kevin Smith. So when I think about Clerks, I don't think about Kevin Smith other than the fact that he directed it and that he did it at his place of employment on off hours. Like, he did all the stuff, and it's appreciated and noted. But I'm here for Clerks. I lived the clerk life. This film encapsulates it really well. Even though I've never worked at a convenience store, there's something about the universality of a cash register person in a store. The way people talk to you and the things you think about, and like the feeling of being trapped, and also just the fact that I sympathize a lot with Dante in general, because I am generally not a very motivated person. I am, as his childhood story is, when he was learning to be potty trained, he ran over to his training potty, his little plastic short potty or whatever the fuck, and there was like a book on it or something. And he said rather than move the book to shit on the toilet, he shit himself. I don't think it was a book. I don't think it was a play toilet. But the idea is that he refused to move something in his way. Because he didn't want to like fuck up the thing that was there. And he says he's not one who's willing to shit comfortably. I already fucked everything up by trying to describe the memory, because I definitely didn't do that well. But I'm not one to disturb things just to shit comfortably. If that's not the quote, that's basically what he says. And that's kind of an unfortunate way that I think as well. I am very much oh well, even though I see it right there, it's not gettable because of the circumstances. And even if I was capable of changing those circumstances, I wouldn't, because that would mean possibly inconveniencing someone else, maybe. But Clerks, yeah, Dante, I sympathize with Dante very much. And Brando is one of the best characters ever. The fact that he's willing to watch hermaphroditic porn at work is a Chad move. I only wish I was that cool, you know? It also makes me wish that video stores were still around, because that's exactly what I would do. I would totally be the guy that figured out. I didn't figure out about all the like extreme stuff, and like I didn't realize that, you know, porn could be more than just jerk off material until way too late. But I could have very much been one of them. It would have been fun. Being Randall sounds like the dream. See, that's right. That's the difference between Dante and Randall. They're both in the same exact situation. They're both borderline the same exact kind of person. But Dante complains about his situation, where Randall just accepts his situation and lives in it. And it's that exact difference that like kind of drives, I guess, kind of the plot. It's kind of the plot of the film. Anyway, I'm not reviewing it. It's a film I think about a lot. It's a film I resonate a lot with. And it's a film I've watched a lot. It's a film I quote a lot. It's a film that is just very important to me. When I worked at a vape shop, if it ever got too cold or the power went out and it didn't look like we were open, I have in fact made "I assure you we're open" signs. One life size. I actually spent the time to tape a banner together of 8x11 pieces of paper and make a massive window banner, which my coworker destroyed prematurely, and I didn't get a picture of it. I think I sent out a Snapchat, but it was before they saved all your memories, even if you didn't save them yourself manually. Yeah. Dark times. After Clerks, that's 6th place. Here's a controversial one for you. I mean, I believe I've been rustling feathers with what I've been saying this entire time. Since my first episode was talking shit about the Purge films. I still think that's hilarious, starting. Anyway. In 6th place is Repo, the Genetic Opera. Repo, the Genetic Opera. Yeah, I'll say it again. This is easily one of my favorite movies ever. It's notoriously hated. It's generally hated. I have found a small community of people who love them, which is great. One of which I personally know, talk to, and hang out with. So, there might be a day where we can get a Repo watch going, which would be fantastic. It's one, so like I grew up a lot saying like I hate musicals. I don't really do musicals, and I think I said this with West Side Story. I kind of come to realize that it's not that I dislike musicals, I just like very specific musicals. And Repo the Genetic Opera is absolutely an exception. Repo the Genetic Opera is an amazing musical. It's composed amazingly, it's directed amazingly, it's acted amazingly. Like, it is, as I've been saying with these last few movies, because like I said, my top 8, now my top 9, are borderline perfect movies. I can't really find much negative to say about them. Because I've never, maybe I'll go through and do like a hate week. I'll run through my top 20 and try and complain about them in every way possible. I think that'll be fun. I'm totally going to do that. That sounds awesome. But Repo the Genetic Opera is just... it hits. I listened to the soundtrack over 500 times in my life. There's a point in my life, and by a point in my life, a very, basically like 2 years straight. Remember how I mentioned I had like 2-year hyperfixations? This was my hyperfixation for 2 years. I listened to exclusively the Repo the Genetic Opera soundtrack on loop. I slept with it on. I'd wake up to it. I'd listen to it in my headphones. I lived off of Repo the Genetic Opera. It was... my mom bought me a pillow with an aux cord sticking out of it so I could listen to it at night because of it. Even though it annoyed the shit out of my brother because we shared a room and the speaker wasn't as quiet as I thought it was. Or as it should have been. The whole point of the speaker being in your pillow is so that... well, I thought it was so it was a little bit more stealthy. I thought it was going to be like headphone kind of speakers, but... yeah. It's an amazing movie. I plan on getting a tattoo eventually. I am a huge fan of the director in general. The director of Saw 2, 3, and 4, for all those people who don't know him outside of that. One of my favorite directors. Speaking of, I know it's a little weird being me, or knowing me, and not hearing that there's no Saw films on this list. Which there is not. Just because I haven't gotten through the list doesn't mean one's going to show up. Saw films are not on this list. And my justification for that was I already have a Bousman film on this list. I would totally put Saw 3 or 4 on this list. Easily. In fact, I'll consider it. genuinely, because I already, as I said, I have a couple I guarantee will not stay on the list. I have things that are going to shift down. I have plans. I have ideas because my opinions have already changed. I didn't need an entire 6 months to think about it. But what film was I talking about? Repo? Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, I was saying how like Saw and stuff would be on here, but I decided against it because Repo's there already. But I'm like, yeah, it's the same producers. It's basically the same film. So moving into my fifth, we're finally in the top five. We have Scream. Scream. Scream is a weird one. And it's weird to say this because I don't think it's true, but I've been having like lingering thoughts about it, and Scream is either getting knocked down to like the bottom half of my top 20 or being removed entirely. And it's a shock, I know, but like I said, my opinion shifts. You know, we're not stagnant in our thoughts. Time passes, opinions change. I don't think I like Scream any less. But after watching over 1,000 films since I've come across Scream, and I think over 1,000, maybe not over 1,000 films, but damn near it since I started writing reviews about films, I think there's just more significant stuff. And then on top of that, and I really, this is kind of shameful to say, but I think the state of its franchise that it's in now kinda, and maybe this is me just not watching it. Maybe this is like me thinking I don't want to watch It Chapter 1 because It Chapter 2 is so bad. Maybe I'm just downplaying by association. But because of the state of the franchise recently, and not even just the political stuff, I just don't like the movies. The pre-make was decent, or whatever they called it, the 5. But I think the first 4, the Wes Craven directed ones, are really the only ones I care about. I would love to say I want to go see 6 because I love the idea of like subway horror. It seems underutilized, honestly. Like, I like the idea, but, and I think it's still written by the same original guy too, right? Like, he's kind of just, sorry, that clicking is me just playing with something in my car. One moment. But yeah, I don't know exactly what I was talking about, but my opinion borderlines on being affected by the state of the franchise, that I almost feel like maybe, wow, I had time to think about this, and I came back and I said the stupidest shit ever. I think it's easier to just say, and more true and more logical and everything, to just say that I found things that are better. Just because it didn't get any less good. But I found things better. And I'm just not as in it as like a franchise thing anymore. Maybe it's just because I'm adventuring through film, and I'm trying not to get bogged down by like repetitiveness. But Scream is definitely on the verge. It's bottom half of the top 20 right now, and it's a shame. It hurts to say that, but it's more true than to say it's staying here forever. My fourth place, still, we're in the top four. Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs is fucking... Again, it's one of those films that it's both not a surprise that it's on this list, and I technically don't have anything insightful to say about it. Because it's just one of those, like, borderline perfect films. It's an experience with like... And something I grew up to really appreciate about it is the, Jesus Christ, I hate noise. I don't know why people think it's cool to have a loud exhaust. It's the douchiest thing ever. And also to stand outside this car right now and start yelling on the phone like me, but I'm just getting judgmental. Yeah, in real time. Silence of the Lambs is fantastic. It never seems to waver from a top 5 for me. Every time I watch it, I go, yeah, this is the fucking perfect movie. But the thing I didn't notice until adulthood, that is probably the best part about the film, is its depiction of misogyny and the way the film forces you to experience it. There's countless moments of this in the film, but I think the most notable and my favorite is the scene right before the autopsy, where she's at that funeral home and there's this room full of cops, and they're like, gentlemen, this is Agent Sterling, she's the head of the whatever fuck, and she's gonna be doing this thing, and they just don't really do anything except stare at her. And then it cuts to a POV of her looking around the room, and there's just all these dudes' eyes on her, and it's judgment that you're feeling. Like you know that's what's going on, and it's really intense. It has a similar hit as Thanos' Anxiety and Miss 45, where it's just people staring. It has that same kind of anxiety, but in like a different weight of it, you know? It's an outstanding film, though. I would love to expand on it in the future. I'm gonna try and rush through these next 3, unfortunately. I should have started at the top and wasted more time in the beginning on the important, quote-unquote, the top 5 than the bottom 5. But number 3 is Stephen King's It. I didn't put this on the list initially because I was worried about considering a TV miniseries as a film, but I've gotten over that hurdle and have decided that I just like it so much that I can't not have it on the list. As much as I like the new It movies, they do not compare to my relationship with Stephen King's It. It's told, in my opinion, way better. I like that it jumps back and forth rather than one film being mostly kids and then the other film being mostly adult. I didn't like that switch up because the whole progression of the plot comes from the memories coming back to them. We're learning what they remember is basically what you're getting at. And you actually learn more than what they remember at times. But it comes as it should, not... Like, yeah, it's not as gory, it's not as scary, it's not as fucked up. But it's better. It's better in almost every other way. And Tim Curry, although Bill Skarsgård is outstanding, and I think his performance as Pennywise is inspiring as shit, I hate his dialogue in the remakes. I think Pennywise being an actual clown is so much better. Something about, I don't know. I didn't like how Bill Skarsgård like conversed with these children, and especially the adult children. But I could watch this 3-hour miniseries like any day. It's my rainy day movie. The way that Marshall describes Ted's favorite movie, Star Wars, in How I Met Your Mother is exactly how I feel about this film. I can watch it when I'm sick, when I'm in health. Like literally, he does the marriage monologue, the marriage thing. Anyway, yeah, I love Stephen King's It, and it's 3 hours of perfection, and it's one of the few things I prefer to stream over using DVD because I still haven't found a Blu-ray or a 4K or something that lets me not have to flip the disc halfway through the movie. Second place is A Clockwork Orange. And again, it's a damn shame that I have to kind of rush through this. But Clockwork Orange is another one of those, like, probably won't ever move from the top three. The top three have kind of been cemented, not permanently, but like you can always break cement. But the top three is pretty hard to change. And A Clockwork Orange being second place is very significant in that. Just the fact that A Clockwork Orange isn't first place should, one, say something about how much I like what's in first place, but also, I don't know what also actually, but the top three is important. And I don't have a lot of time. Clockwork Orange, Malcolm McDowell. Let's say this. Let's say this. I like A Clockwork Orange through and through. I think the book is perfection. Even if the author doesn't necessarily think so. I think the film is a perfect adaptation, but I don't think anything Stanley Kubrick added to the film helped it in any way. The quality... Sorry, there's like multiple people fucking yelling outside. I don't know why this bitch doesn't get in her car and drive the fuck away. I don't know why people love to loudly talk on the phone in fucking the middle of public. Anyway. It's another really long fucking movie, honestly. But it's also... Jesus Christ. Sorry. I'm getting too distracted. I'm also getting quieter because I subconsciously can't talk to people can't talk loudly when there's people around. It's weird. I need to get over that, but that'll take years probably. It's such an impactful film. I wrote probably my first really in-depth review is a review of A Clockwork Orange. I loved my review of A Clockwork Orange. I think... Oh, what I was saying, though. Stanley Kubrick's addition to it is nothing to me, because everything that he adapts that I like is supposed to be there anyway, and the things he adds and takes things away to add things makes me like it less, even though I think it's perfect. You know, it's a weird line, because like it's a perfect adaptation, but it's not a perfect one-to-one adaptation. And because I think the book is perfect, it makes it hard to not find flaws in the adaptation in a loose sense, even if it doesn't waver my opinion of the film itself. I'll stick to that for now, I guess. A Clockwork Orange is also very important to me. It was introduced to me when I was very young, but I didn't watch it regularly until I hit like late teens. And finally, in first place is Donnie Darko. I can't imagine anybody being too surprised by this, to be honest. Donnie Darko is just a movie that I would inherit. I have a tattoo of Frank on my arm, so like, if anybody's seen anything below my elbows, then you've probably seen my Frank tattoo. But like, I love Donnie Darko, and that was a film that I was like, does it really deserve first place? And I think about it every time, because first place is a high ranking. You know, it's me claiming it's my absolute favorite to an extent. And every time I look at the top 20 and see it, I question, like, is it deserving of being there? And then I watch it, and it absolutely is. There's no doubt about it that Donnie Darko is deserving of being my favorite film, my number one on this list, at least, because it's just every line that's said is so meticulously spoken, and I like the vague intricacies that force a rewatch, that even 30-40 watches in, I can still raise a question that goes, wait, but what about this part? Doesn't that screw something up? Like you can, it's open-ended in a good way. People who want answers can seek them, but just like Donnie in the film, like, you can't get all your answers, and you can't guarantee they're all going to be good. So, yeah, that's my top 20. I don't think I'm going to dig more into Donnie Darko, because I think I would have to do a whole episode on that, genuinely. Maybe I'll do like a double feature with S. Darko, because I've been told that it actually isn't as bad as people remember it to be, which I was one of those people that didn't like it as well, but maybe my tastes have changed and times have changed. So we'll see. But that was my top 20. This is a film for, this is an episode for a Monday. So, you know, good luck on that week, I guess. It's Wednesday right now for me, and it's starting to rain. If you, I mean, I don't have any like thing to drop likes or anything, but I suppose, I feel like you can't, ending a podcast on okay, goodbye without doing anything just feels wrong. So I'm going to do some, I don't know. I have an email. If you want to contact me for whatever reason, I don't know exactly why you would, but I have an email. It's anythingbutted@gmail.com. Same as my YouTube channel, Anything But Ted. That's 2 T's. It doesn't look right when you type it, but it is correct. I tried to make it taste like tea Gmail, but it already exists, so I didn't feel like stretching it and be like, oh, it's kind of like tastes like tea. But no, I already have Anything But Ted. I think it's a fitting email, and it's not really used for anything else other than having like accounts for things. So now it's the podcast email. Enjoy sending things to it. Yeah. Thank you.